You only need 5 fragrances. If I had to start my whole collection again, these are the 5 fragrances I would choose. This is the designer version of this video. I'm going to do a niche version as well in a few days. Now, of course, you only really need 1 fragrance if that's what you decide to do. But if you love fragrances, which I'm sure you do, that's why you're watching fragrance videos, then I think starting with 5 fragrances in your collection is a great way to start. And these are 5 fragrances I would choose, and I'm going to tell you why I would choose these 5 fragrances. Starting off with a spring and summer fragrance that you could wear to the office or to a formal occasion if you need to, and that is DIOR Eau Sauvage Parfum. This is a elegant, timeless and sophisticated fragrance. It's perfect. It's such a beautiful, natural smelling fragrance. It has this really sophisticated smell to it. It does smell quite old school. So if you're younger, if you're 18 to 25, this might smell really old school to you. But sometimes those old school, timeless scents are just perfect, and this is still perfect and still relevant today. I went on a trip to Krakow at the start of October, so the weather was still quite nice. It was around 18 degrees, and I took this with me, and it was absolutely perfect for that weather condition. So I'm going to say this is perfect for the spring and of course the summer. This is lots of fresh citrus notes mixed with lavender and some resinous notes as well. The resinous notes in the base of this really give it some carry, and it's a really good performing, invigorating fragrance. It's not a fresh fragrance that you spray on and it disappears really quickly. It lasts well into the day, and it really does project this aura of class and sophistication. There's actually 6 fragrances in this list because I couldn't decide whether to include DIOR Eau Sauvage Parfum or PRADA L'Homme EDT, especially if you're a business person, especially if you go to work wearing smart clothes and you need something really clean and inoffensive to wear in the office. This would be my choice. For me, the uniqueness of this fragrance is in the simplicity. It's a simple fragrance. It's soapy, it's clean, it smells really hygienic. It smells almost like a really high quality bar of soap. So when you wear this, you smell like you're freshly showered, and it has nothing in there that is going to offend anyone. Now, one of the main notes in PRADA L'Homme is iris. Iris is a very formal fragrance note. Fragrances that have iris in do come across as formal. So this could really act as a fragrance for multiple different occasions. You're looking at summer, you're looking at spring, summer, you're looking at going to work, you're looking at any formal occasion, any event where you want to wear something that's not going to choke anyone out or offend anyone, and you just want to smell clean, natural and hygienic. PRADA L'Homme would be my choice. Right, we've had spring and summer, now we need an autumn and winter designer fragrance. And for that, you don't get better than Stronger With You Intensely. For me, this has become my favorite winter fragrance in the designer market. It's brilliant. It's such a long-lasting, potent fragrance. This is toffee sweetness with spicy cinnamon on an amber and vanilla base. This really has that added cut through the cold air vibe. This really does perform well, especially in the cold weather. And my experience with this is it's a room filling fragrance. So you spray it on, you leave the room, you come back 5-10 minutes later and it's in the air all around you. That's what this fragrance does. It's potent, it's really strong. And when we're looking for a cold weather fragrance, the fresh citrus fragrances don't do it. They don't last, especially on me. 1 or 2 hours, most of them are gone pretty quickly. But Stronger With You Intensely lasts all day and it really projects out. For me, Stronger With You Intensely is the best in the Stronger With You line. I would say it's a must try for the autumn and winter. So if I was starting my fragrance journey again, I would also be looking for a head turner, a unique fragrance, and that is where Tom Ford Black Orchid Parfum comes in. This is rich, it's complex, it's intriguing, it's almost a magical smelling fragrance. The whole Tom Ford Black Orchid line is so unique, so different. There is nothing like it anywhere else on the market. This has such a different mix and contrast of notes, things that you wouldn't normally find together in a fragrance, but in here they really work and it smells so unique. It really does turn heads, and the performance of Black Orchid Parfum is superb. Earthiness and fruity plum with a glass of rum poured over flowers. That is how this smells. The base of this is very earthy. You have this green patchouli note. It does come across quite earthy, and to me it actually smells more masculine than feminine. I think that's because of the added rum note. You get rum in here which you don't get in the other Tom Ford Black Orchid line. Mostly they're unisex fragrances. All of these Black Orchid fragrances are unisex. This one just comes across as a bit more masculine, and in my opinion it's the strongest in the line. This is challenging, it's divisive, but for that reason it's a head-turning fragrance. Head turners are challenging, head turners are divisive. Not everyone likes them. They're complex and unique, and they're very strong. Black Orchid Parfum would be a fragrance I would always buy again if I was starting my collection. Imagine a caramel flavored whiskey pouring over chestnuts that are laying on top of a large piece of wood. That is how Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé smells. This would be a fragrance I would choose for date nights or just feeling cozy at home. Sometimes when you're at home, not necessarily on a date night, but when you're on your own, just watching a movie, sometimes I want a cozy, warming, sweet fragrance that I can just enjoy for myself. That is when I would wear Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé. In my opinion, this is the best in the Givenchy Gentleman line. It's a fantastic line which I have done a video on comparing all 4 of the fragrances on my channel. I used to really love the EDP version, which I still do, and the EDP was my favorite. But recently, I've started to understand how fantastic this is. This smells warming and cozy, sweet and boozy, and the longevity of this is fantastic. Lasts ages on my skin, but the projection is not extremely loud, which is perfect for a date night fragrance. It's perfect in what it's trying to do, so there's no issues with that, but the longevity is fantastic. This could also double down as a going out or a formal fragrance. Givenchy Gentleman, the whole line, have iris in. The note of iris that we spoke about earlier, that kind of powdery, clean, formal smelling note, which is also in Reserve Privé. The difference between this and the EDP, this has a beautiful golden caramel-like whiskey note, which really does make this stand out in the whole line. So if I was starting my collection again, I would want a date night fragrance or a fragrance that I can just wear for myself when I'm cozy at home. I would choose Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé. And lastly, I would choose a fragrance for me. I would choose a fragrance that I absolutely love, not one necessarily for any occasion, spring, summer, date night, office, whatever. I would choose one that I absolutely love. And for me, this is the best designer fragrance I've ever tried. If you've watched my channel before, you'll know how much I love Fahrenheit Le Parfum. I think this is fantastic. It's fantastic because it's a great fragrance, but also because I have some memories associated to this fragrance. It was the first fragrance, I would say, that's in the higher end of designer fragrances that I bought. Before this, I owned like 1 Million, a Calvin Klein fragrance, possibly Le Male, but this one was the first kind of upper end designer fragrance. And this holds some really great memories for me because when I bought it, it was before I'd started Visionary Fragrances, my YouTube channel and my sample website. I own visionaryfragrances.com where you can buy genuine samples. And this was, I bought this just before all of that sort of took off. And it was during COVID, it was in 2020 I bought this. I was working a job that I hated because I'd lost my job because of COVID. So I had to get a job that I really didn't like just to get some money in. So I bought this just as I was getting into fragrances. So for me, this is like my transition from when I changed my life from when I was working in the job I hated to starting a business that I absolutely love. And now it's completely changed my life. So Fahrenheit Le Parfum does have some amazing, happy memories for me. But aside from that, aside from those personal reasons, it's a fantastic fragrance. This is the old school Fahrenheit, but it's modernized. It's sweeter, it's boozier, it's kind of thicker as well. It hasn't got the green airiness that the original has. This is thicker, sweeter, boozier. It's fantastic. This is leathery and fruity with mandarin orange. You have a beautiful rum note and a thick vanilla note in the base notes. This is beautiful. The projection is wonderful. I actually receive a lot of compliments when wearing this, and that's because it performs so well. Sometimes you'll find that different fragrances work off your skin. Like you might find someone who says Prada L'Homme doesn't perform very well, but then on another person it'll perform really well. And that happens with fragrances. Sometimes they perform well on our skin, sometimes not. This one performs really well on my skin. I always get noticed when wearing this, and this is a fragrance I would wear for me. It's also classy, so you could wear it to a night out. Any sort of situation you want where you want to just smell really good, you could wear Fahrenheit Le Parfum. In my opinion, this is a must-try designer fragrance. If you are into fragrances, then you need to try this. Just sample it. Go to a shop, buy a sample from my website, buy a sample from anywhere. Just make sure you try Fahrenheit Le Parfum. So these were 6 fragrances that I would look at if I was starting my collection again. Of course, not everyone is lucky enough to have such a big collection. I know how incredibly lucky I am to have an amazing collection of fragrances. But if I was starting my whole journey again, if I was looking at only designer fragrances, these are the 5 or 6 designer fragrances I would choose to start my journey again. I hope you got something from this video. Please like this video and subscribe if you got something from it and you want to see more from me. I would love to hear from you. Tell me, what are your favorite fragrances to wear right now? If you had to start your fragrance journey again, what fragrance would you buy first and why?